The deportation threat. What is Mayor Adams going to do about it? The Point starts right now. Mayor Adams meets with the new federal border czar this week. What's on his agenda? So, Mr. Mayor, what is on your agenda when you meet with Tom Homan at City Hall?
It's all about hearing in a very clear way what's the message and the goal of the border czar, and see how do we collaborate to deal with the securing of our borders and making sure that we can ensure that this city retains and continue to be the safest big city in America.
But what level of cooperation are you willing to give him?
Well, and that's the most important question. Many people are speculating. In order to answer that question, we need to first find out what the mission is. I know what my mission is.
What is your mission?
Public safety. That has always been my North Star. Prior to the election, even when I communicated to the president and his team, the current president, I stated over and over again, we have to deal with the small number of violent offenders who are making their way into our country. In particular, it's a very dangerous Venezuelan gang. It is not the overwhelming number of migrants and asylum seekers, and many of these gang members are preying on migrants and asylum seekers also.
So do you want those gang members, if you get them caught up in a crime, once they've been arrested, should they be deported before trial?
And I want to hear what the border czar's beliefs is around that. My belief has always been, I want you, when you're arrested, to serve your time, because you're not giving justice to the person who was victimized by them, because then if they go out, they could come right back into the country. So I want to hear from the border czar and engage in a conversation and tell them some of my ideas.
So tell me some of your ideas.
Well, number one, we need to secure the border. Let's start with that. And we can't allow people who are criminals to be mixed up into coming into the country. When you look at, is Venezuela emptying their jails and say, we're going to have the roads come to America? Those who are coming here to pursue the American dream, there should be a pathway to do so. Second, what I've stated over and over again, we're dealing with the population problem in many of our municipalities. Why aren't we telling the individuals we allow to come into the country, you're going to go where we need you, you're going to fill the jobs that we're looking for, you're going to deal with the population issue. So there's a way to turn this crisis into an opportunity.
But basically what you want to tell them is, we want you to go where we want you to go.
Those who we're allowing into the country.
Yes. They just can't come in any place. They have to go where the jobs are.
Exactly. And where we need you. I mean, if you want to come into the country, then why don't we have a symbiotic relationship where you're coming in where the country needs you? We need backstretch workers, and we need food service workers.
A residency requirement, like if they need you, agricultural workers upstate, go upstate.
Exactly. And that's what my mayors and others are saying across the country. Eric, we don't mind bringing in migrants and asylum seekers, because this country was built on immigrants. We don't mind that. But you can't bring people into a municipality
just willy-nilly.
And with a $6.4 billion price tag. Or look at what's happening in Chicago. Look at what's happening in Los Angeles and other places. We're not controlling the problem. We allowed the problem to control us.
So if the border czar wanted to establish some detention centers here in New York, would you let him do it?
I don't want to go into the area of hypotheticals. I want to sit down with the border czar and be able to walk out and tell the public of New York, here's what this administration is planning on doing, and here's what we're going to do. I think there's some common grounds here. From what I'm hearing from the border czar, he's concerned about public safety the way I am, and New Yorkers are concerned about public safety.
So what's the common ground?
Well, public safety. What is it going to take to ensure that we're safe? What is it going to take to continue the rich spirit of the American people allowing immigrants in? What is it going to take to secure our border? And what is it going to take to have a real comprehensive immigration reform?
So would you allow ICE agents to reopen their offices at Rikers Island? That would make it easier for them to deport people who've committed crimes?
I heard one councilman state that, indicating litmus tests. I'm not into litmus tests. I'm into solving problems, and as we are continually doing in the city. I don't want to walk into a meeting where the borders are with preconceived notions and lines in the sand. I want to walk in and sit down with him and say, let me hear your vision. And let me share what my vision is. We've been doing this for 2 years now. 2,500 migrants and 225,000 migrants and asylum seekers. We got something right because remember, 170,000 have gone on to the next step of their journey.
Should there be more cooperation with ICE agents, though?
Yes, I do believe that. I stated this prior to the election. And this is what gave me, Marcia. People are saying, okay, after the president-elect is coming in, Eric is now saying different things. No, I was saying this prior to the election. I was saying those who are committing crimes in our city must be addressed, and we should change the current sanctuary city law to address that issue. Mayor Bloomberg knew that, Mayor Koch knew that, the previous administration altered that, and I thought it was a big mistake.
So do you think you could have any chance of re-altering or re-changing it so that there's more cooperation?
Well, the city council made it clear they don't want to change that. They stated they're not willing to change the sanctuary city law. I think they're wrong. I have my teams looking at my power as executive orders. I'm going to sit.
Is it possible you could do an executive order?
We're looking at that. The legal team, the corporation council that they just approved, they're looking at, the office is looking at, do I have the power to do so? I have to protect the people of this city. That is my North Star. It always has been. And if you are committing crimes on migrants, on immigrants, undocumented, documented, it's all the same to me. And I want to address that.
So I want to understand this.
Yes.
You're thinking of an executive order that would allow you to change the sanctuary city laws so there could be more cooperation with the feds?
No, I told Corporation Council, give me what are my options. I want to know what my options are. As I stated almost a year ago, I want to look at those who are committing serious violent felonies in our city, and I want to know what are my powers. Once the city council made it clear we're not changing the sanctuary city laws to allow ICE to go after those dangerous offenders. Once they made that clear, I went to Plan B and said, what are my options and my powers?
And you want to see if you can make that, you can change that?
Yes, I want to see it, and I wanted to be able to sit down with the borders are and say, here's my concern, and we're looking at ways that I could use my executive power to go after those dangerous, violent people. I sent to South America, to Colombia, the intelligence deputy commissioner and my first deputy commissioner, and they did a deep dive into this dangerous gang that is making their way up from Venezuela. And these are dangerous people. And
you want to keep them out of the city?
Yes, I do. And you know what? Everyday New Yorkers want to do that.
So let me ask you this. The president wants to use tariffs in Mexico and in Canada to force them to close their borders or to do more to keep people from coming in. Good idea, bad idea?
Far more economic experts than I could answer that. I think whatever methodologies we can do to stabilize these regions. What I learned when I went down to the Darien Gap is that our attitude of not really stabilizing Colombia, stabilizing Ecuador, stabilizing parts of Mexico, this is something we need to look into, because Colombia was stating that we're willing to help this problem, but we need assistance. Because what I learned is that Venezuela helped Colombia when they were going through some serious problems. And President Clinton went down to help Colombia during the drug problems because the drugs were finding their way here. We need to look into how do we stabilize those regions in a system so that we can stop this flow up here.
The reason I ask this is because tariffs could raise the prices here in this country. And this is enlightened self-interest for you, because I did some research, and it turns out that Mexico, believe it or not, last year supplied 67% of the fruits and vegetables in the United States, and 47% of nuts. So since you are a vegan, it could mean that you're going to have to pay more to eat your diet.
And I'm a plant-based eater. You know, a lot of people, you know, mix that up sometimes. But I don't want to pay more for nuts, and I don't want to pay more for fruits and vegetables. But at the same time, I don't want to deal with some of these horrific incidents. And it's just unfair to those who are coming here to pursue the American dream when you're living a year, 2 years inside a shelter. That is not why people come to this country. And we should not be paroling people into the country if we're not paroling them into an opportunity such as work and to be able to provide for their family. And it's just common sense. It's just common sense. And so I'm not going to stay on a talking point because it sounds right. I know what happens when you bring 225,000 people into a city and it doesn't have any opportunities.
And you don't want that to happen here?
No, I do not. And as I laid out last week, at the off topic, $6.4 billion should have gone into the issues that we're facing in the cities. These are real issues that we're facing. It's unfair to the migrants and asylum seekers, and it's unfair to New Yorkers. And people will demonize me because I'm trying to be honest. And I'm not going to try to find the right soundbite when I know what happens when you don't do right for everyday people.
And on that note, we're going to have to leave it right there for now. But our conversation continues right after the show on our streaming channel, CBS News New York. He flipped a blue seat red. Steve Chen is the new Republican state senator from Brooklyn. So my first question has to be, when you go to Albany, you're going to be in the minority with a huge progressive majority of Democrats in the Senate. How are you going to get anything done?
That's a very good question, Marcia. So I have to find allies. I have to work with my colleagues, my new colleagues up in the state Senate. I have to find common ground where both the Democrats and the Republicans stand together. Right now in my district, there are a couple of Democrat politicians who we actually see eye to eye on common sense issues. Where I have to find those people that I can work with. I have to use some leverage, whatever leverage I can find, and hopefully we'll get our voices heard, and we'll get some...
You sound so internally optimistic.
Yes. At
a place in Albany which is extremely partisan. I mean, do you think that it's going to be difficult to get these Democratic voices to join with you?
It'll be difficult, but as we can see, South Brooklyn turned red. The voice of the people, they want their voices heard. So I want to convince some of these more common sense centric Democrats that, you know, it's time to listen to the people and see what they want and see what they're not happy with. Maybe we can come to some kind of compromise and let's get some things done. Let's change some of the things that has changed over the years. Let's bring it back to the way it was.
So look, you were a police officer for 27 years, and you just told me you loved being a police officer. And one of the things you campaigned on and you talked about was bail reform, and you feel that changes have to be made to keep people locked up. How could you propose to get these very partisan Democrats to go along with your ideas? And what are your ideas? Well,
we definitely can't use a wrecking ball and just destroy bail reform overnight. This is not going to happen that way. It has to be surgically done. Each aspects of the bail reform, we have to re-examine them and see what's not working. New Jersey has the same basic bail reform with one very important difference.
What is that?
The difference is the dangerousness clause in their bail reform, where a judge actually has the discretion to be able to keep somebody in jail.
If they're dangerous.
If they're dangerous. So let's start with that. I would like to be able to give our judges back some discretion, and our police officers too. I would like to restore their qualified immunity so that they're not afraid to do their jobs because of liability.
So you have a sense that police on the street now, because of all the changes that have come through Albany, have found it difficult to do their job because they're afraid, like, oh, you could be charged with a chokehold, or you could be charged with something else. And so you think that that's stopping them from doing their jobs?
Absolutely. I personally ran around the streets vigorously for half my career as an NYPD police officer and police sergeant and undercover investigator. There's a certain amount of limitations to what you can and cannot do. And right now, our cops, their hands are tied, and they're afraid to lose their homes and their livelihood, and they're worried about their families. It's better not to, perhaps I better not write this car in front of me a ticket I better not stop him for reckless driving because I don't know what I'm going to get myself into. You know, when you restrict police officers like that, it's very difficult for them to do their jobs.
So what kind of changes would you like to see in terms of, you know, law enforcement and rules governing what police are allowed to do?
Well, the public opinion is the very, very important thing. I want the public to support our police officers. We need to be friends with our police officers, not enemy. There's a lot of people preaching, you know, cops are bad. You know, I'm a police officer for 27 years. I made hundreds of arrests, and I have a spotless CCRB record. I only had one, and, you know, I was accused of cursing at somebody. And, you know, maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But, you know, if that's all I got for 27 years, I'm doing a lot of things correctly. So I want the public to understand our police. I want our public to be friends with the police. And I need to give them back their qualified immunity. I need to reach out to police officers. Don't be afraid to do your jobs. We need you to help us have a better quality of life. Don't be afraid to lock this guy up for stealing a pair of slippers. And in fact, we need to keep that guy in jail for a couple of days. I did that. You know, when I locked up somebody for stealing a tube of toothpaste, he stayed in jail for 2 days. He ate bologna sandwiches for 2 days, and he stayed in a cell with 20, 30 other guys in the same situation.
You think that taught him a lesson?
It not only taught him a lesson, but for that time that they're in jail, they're not out stealing.
A good point. So you ran as a Republican. I wonder if you could tell me what you think that the people who were MAGA Republicans did right and what you didn't like about it.
What they did right was they reached out to America. They wear the same shoes. We all wear the same shoes. We all go to work. We're all trying to raise a family. We want to be able to make a living and not stress about living paycheck to paycheck. We don't want to see our tax dollars being spent on nonsense, a lot of wasteful spending. We don't want to hear somebody tell us how we're going to charge you $9 on congestion pricing, but yet we're putting more money into your pocket. That's just not the case. It's smoking, it's a dog and pony show, smoke and mirrors.
So what do you think that the MAGA profession standards were bad that you didn't really want to embrace? Or maybe there's nothing, I don't know.
There's not a lot of bad things about it. You know, I can understand, you know, our president, our newly elected president, you know, maybe a little crass at times. But his ideology, you know, I can definitely go with. You know, why wouldn't we want controlled spending, fiscal responsibility? Why wouldn't we want secure borders? Why are we burdening our citizens with other people's problems?
So as a law enforcement person, I wonder how you feel about the possibility that the president could pardon some of the people who were involved in the January 6th demonstration at the Capitol. What's your opinion on that? Pardon, no pardon?
I believe they should be pardoned. You know, I don't see a resurgence or insurgents, I'm sorry. I don't see a revolution. These people were, to me, they were patriots. Even
though they attacked the Capitol and you know, people were injured?
People were injured. That's unfortunate. So should we blanket pardon everybody? Perhaps not. You know, hold the ones that injured people responsible, maybe charge them with something.
So we have only a few minutes left. I wonder how you feel about congestion pricing. We have like 30 seconds left.
So like I was saying, congestion pricing, I totally disagree with. We need to manage the MTA a little bit better. Let's start with charging, making everybody pay their fair share of their fare. To make everybody else pay $9, and you're telling us that you're putting money into our pockets. That's just an outright lie.
Okay, Steve Chen, we're going to have to leave it right there for now, but we're going to be right back. Thank you for joining me. Well, charging $9 to drive into parts of Manhattan cut down on traffic? And what do New Yorkers think the money should be spent on? They're weighing in on your point. Will charging $9 to get into Manhattan cut down on traffic?
Yes.
No.
Probably not.
I really doubt it.
Yeah, I think so.
Sure. You think so?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because if you want to disincentivize someone to do something, you charge them money.
I don't think it's going to stop people, but I think some people will decide not to go.
I don't think nothing could cut down on traffic.
So what impact do you think it's going to have on the city in general?
I think it has potential to improve air quality.
Less traffic.
Probably bankrupt everybody.
It brings needed revenue into the subway system.
It'll just slow it down even more.
Hopefully for the $9 it reduces traffic and congestion.
I don't think it will have much impact because if you have to do your business, you have to do your business.
The MTA is planning on using it to pay the debt service on bonds for $15 billion worth
You know
of
so much
renovations.
about this.
I went to policy school at Columbia.
So the money's going to be used to upgrade the subway. What should the MTA do first?
Oh, yeah, take care of the downstairs always. Yeah, they're very dirty and they need to be updated.
Just keep it all safe and running smoothly.
I think everybody will say safety.
It's a very well-working system, but maybe on the look and feel part of it, you know, just to make it a bit more clean.
To upgrade the accessibility.
Make sure that the buses and trains run on time.
That's a good idea.
You know what I mean?
I get it.
Let it run on time and let everybody be able to not wait an hour for a train or a bus to sit in the cold.
They should get all the fare beaters. That's millions and millions and millions of dollars that they're not getting. Get that first before you charge drivers. That's how I feel.
Congestion pricing, a good idea or bad idea?
It's a good idea.
Good idea.
I'm not sure. I have mixed feelings.
Well, to be honest with you, it could be both ways.
I think it's a bad idea because everybody doesn't have that kind of money.
Hard to say. I'm a driver, so.
So you don't like it?
I do. We do the same in Berlin, but it depends.
Good idea if the money that they receive will put more improvement for the passengers, for the people of New York.
MTA needs money. We need better air quality and less traffic in the city, and I'm really excited that Governor Hochul reintroduced the policy.